Okay, guys, welcome to today's video where we're going to talk about the global chip shortage for the second time. I know this is my second video on it, but there's just been, more news about it. I've read about it some more, and really just, I thought I missed on a couple of points in there, so figured I'd revisit the topic. We'll go over the whole thing again because it is pretty quick to talk about. So the first thing we're going to talk about is why do we even have a chip shortage? And there's a couple of reasons for it. It's easy to just go, oh, it's COVID-19's fault, or oh, it's Trump's trade war fault. But there's really a lot going into it. The first and most important one is there's just a ton of new products and tech coming out between 2019 and now. So you had the rollout of 5G, which is a lot of equipment that has to be produced, a lot of new devices that are going to have to be produced to support it. So you're going to have this a huge generation swap going on there. And then not only do you have the 5G stuff rolling out, then you also have your new game consoles. We have a new generation of the PlayStation, a new generation of the Xbox, which also means you're going to have all of its supporting infrastructure also that has to be replaced. So you're gonna have a lot of new controllers and other supporting infrastructure for that. And then on top of that, we're right at that 10-year mark of everyone's coming out with a new generation of their vehicle. So all the auto manufacturers have some new model coming out with some new gadget or widget in it that had a huge demand, and so they needed to order a lot of parts. So from 2019 is really the start of the global chip shortage. It just recently started making headline news and stuff, but it really goes back to 2019 from when it started. Like mid to late 2019 was the start of the chip shortage. So then on top of all of these new devices, you then have COVID-19 happen. So you have the chip shortage start in 2019, near the end of it, and then you have COVID-19 come out, and this really disrupts production. A lot of factories had little short periods where they were closed and just not doing a lot of production. We could go into COVID-19, but that would be its own video there. So we'll just gloss over. Yes, COVID-19 happened, which disrupted production and logistics for a prolonged period of time. Then on top of that, we had a bunch of chip manufacturers have fires in their facilities. So Hynix, they had a fire in their facility that produced DRAM, and as anybody that knows anything about embedded or electronics in general, everything has DRAM in it these days. So yeah, your Hynix factory with the DRAM factory that had the fire in it. AKM, they are a camera sensor company, so they make like the CMOS chips for camera sensors, stuff of that nature. They had a fire in their facility. And then finally, the most recent fire was the Renesas fire, which they produce a ton of microcontrollers and stuff, but the particular facility that was affected produced automotive chipsets. And then after all of these fires happen, then you also have just global logistics problems from current global logistics problems of the ship that's been stuck in the Suez Canal. Finally got released, but not by man. The moon released it from the canal, and so yeah, so you have a ton of global logistics problems that the Suez Canal is the most recent, but that's not really what caused any of this. You have all of these ships that are anchored off of California right now. They can't. There's been between 20 and 40 cargo ships anchored out there that can't get into the harbor to offload or onload anything. And then you just have all of this COVID-19 stuff again, where just global shipping had taken a real hit from that. And the final problem, which is another major problem for global chip production, was the trade war. The trade war had a huge impact on this, shutting down several, well, not fully shutting them down, but just preventing the purchase of chipsets in the United States from a couple of foundries and manufacturers in China. So That trade war really pushed a lot of stuff that was being produced into China to being produced in South Korea, where they have these just absolutely giant foundries over there in South Korea. So that just made this huge shift of, oh, we can't produce this thing here anymore because of this trade war, so now we got to go produce it somewhere else. And all the same people are still making money off of it. It really doesn't change anything in the end. I mean, that's my assumption. I don't really know that to be true. But that really covers, the down and dirty really quick of like, why do we have a chip shortage? Because if you read the news, most news articles you're going to read are going to say, the chip shortage is caused by COVID-19 and car manufacturers can't get stuff. But car manufacturers aren't the only people that are affected. So let's now go over what chipsets or what components are being affected by this whole shortage going on. So the main one you're going to see is microcontrollers, because it has been, just hugely affected by it. So a lot of microcontrollers you can't get. Like, I currently can't get my hands on STM32F103C8 T6. I believe it's the full part number for that. I can't get my hands on those from any reputable vendor. There are a couple of vendors in China that have them, that are price gouging the hell out of them. That they're, it's normally a like $4 chip, and they want $8 to $10 for one. I got lucky. I found a person that had some on eBay that I just bought them from him. He gave me a really good deal on them. I paid like $2.50 each on them. And yeah, I didn't need a ton of them. I only needed 10. I'm not going to be greedy. I'm not going to hoard them. So yeah, microcontrollers, a huge one being affected. GPUs are another one that are being affected. Not quite as much as your microcontrollers, but there is an effect in the GPU market. And then there also are some Bluetooth and Wi-Fi transceivers that are just not getting produced right now, or have really long lead times on them, which are affecting people's projects and stuff. And I personally got affected on this one. LDOs, some like, this is a weird one to be affected, but there were some new generations of LDOs that came out from Texas Instruments, and then they had a lot of them in stock, and they got picked up because they're a really good price. So these LDOs, I really like them. They're like Chinese priced LDOs, which is, if you're not familiar with LDO, it's a low dropout voltage regulator. So they're like 5 cents each for these LDOs. They're a really good price on them. And you're getting a Texas Instruments thing. So they're this really great product that they just came out with. They had 300,000 of them in stock when I started working on my project 2 weeks ago, and then this week they didn't have any, and they're not going to have them back in stock until next year. So yeah, that one. I got lucky. I found a pin for pin replacement that's roughly the same. It costs 30 cents each instead of 5 cents each. But what can you do? I'm doing just a very small run of this project anyways, so it doesn't really affect me much. And then DRAM, again, because of that fire, and that shortage of DRAM really affects the production of other chipsets and products there. So that's kind of the quick down and dirty of what caused it, what's affected. Now let's go into what we can do about it. And you might think there's nothing we can do about this. This is all, we need, the foundries just have to catch up. The foundries have to do this. And that's not really true. The first one that would just have an absolutely huge impact on this and really help prevent something like this from happening again is if we had right to repair laws. And you're like, well, what would right to repair, have to do with this? Well, again, so we'll go back to that very first cause we talked about. All these new products coming out 2019 to 2021 of, everyone's just mass purchasing stuff. And so COVID-19, one of the big impacts of it that I forgot to go over in this one, but I talked about in a previous video on this, is it had a huge shift in the workforce, in education. People aren't going to schools, they're not going to the office, so they're having to buy new laptops to do their work when they really don't need a new laptop. So right below the camera right here, I just recently bought this used, is a Microsoft Surface Book. Not endorsing them or anything. I bought one used. I got a good price on it. If we had more right to repair laws out there, if we had more schematics available to technicians to repair stuff, we could get these things back up and running. And this is a perfectly capable machine of doing anyone's education that they're doing and anyone's office work. That it would take care of it. There would just be absolutely no need for you to go buy a brand new laptop when you could have a perfectly good one. But we have tons of these kind of machines making their ways to e-scrap in landfills because we're not fixing them. And there's tons of useful chips in there that we can't get our hands on right now, or we can't get our hands on sensors or whatever. There's just a ton of parts we just can't get our hands on. And these machines, if we could repair them, if you could repair that MacBook, you could repair that the Microsoft Surface or whatever, you could repair your old not laptop, but tablet. This tablet needs a new battery. If you could repair these things, if you had schematics to them, you repair manuals and such, we'd have less demand for these new products. So, everyone wouldn't have to go out and buy the new laptop or whatever. Schools wouldn't have to. Well, never mind. That wouldn't apply. Yeah, I was going to say schools wouldn't have to go buy 1,000 Chromebooks, but schools will have to buy 1,000 Chromebooks. But mom and dads, 1,000 mom and dads that are buying a Chromebook for their kid themselves. They could go to secondhand stores, and you could rebuild this whole industry. And that's another thing is a lot of people go, well, yeah, look, so if you help right to repair, you're going to just damage these industries, and people aren't going to buy the newest thing. And, maybe they won't buy the newest thing, but they're still going to spend their money. They're still going to invest that money. And would you rather them invest in Apple, who is hiding billions of dollars in Ireland to avoid paying taxes, or the Cayman Islands, or wherever they're hiding it? They're hiding a ton of money. I mean, they're not hiding it. Everybody knows about it. It's not a secret. But they have a ton of money that's not even getting back into the economy. That money's gone. But if you were to invest that money into a small mom and pop store, you got Advanced Computer Tech down the street from me. If you were to go buy a laptop from them, that money goes right back into the economy here. That money doesn't go to Ireland and sit in some bank account. It actually goes directly into the pockets of a local in the community that can then spend that money in the community. So I mean, let's really use our thinking caps here. Let's critically think about how do we want our money spent and where do we want it to go. I'm not trying to get on a rant on this. I'm just saying, if we that argument is just a flawed argument to say, well, it's going to hurt the economy if people aren't buying stuff. Well, maybe in the grand global economy, it might hurt it a little bit, but your local economies are really going to reap the benefits of right to repair, which is why senators, governors, and congressmen should be interested in this, because this is going to directly affect your congregants. All right, I know they're not called congregants. I'm having a brain fart here. I'm wanting to think delegates or congregants. It's not it, but constituents. There you go. The constituents. So it directly affects your constituents. The people voting for you. They care about right to repair. They don't know they care about it. A lot of people don't realize they care about it. But once you start talking about these talking points on it, if you tell them, hey, right to repair affects your local economy. It helps brick and mortar and all this stuff. They go, oh, I believe in that. Yeah, I believe I should be able to replace the battery in my phone and it not tell me I have a fake battery in it. I believe in that stuff. Your average person does believe in that stuff. They just don't know. They're ignorant to what's going on because they don't think about that kind of stuff anymore, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We just need to, as technicians, try to spread the word, I guess. We'll take the Christian church approach here. We got to spread the word. Um, but so yeah, back on topic here though. For so right to repair would definitely improve what's going on in the situation. It wouldn't resolve it. It absolutely would not resolve it because you still have your people that have to have their brand new phones. They have to have their brand new consoles, and they live by that is what makes their life have meaning to them, and if people want to live that way, that's on them. I choose not to live that way. I actually very rarely buy things firsthand or brand new. Just it's just not my lifestyle choice. um so right to repair could definitely help alleviate it and help improve the economy. The next thing that would really help, at least in my opinion, I think would help. A lot of people probably would disagree with me, but I believe if you were to use some defense spending to help encourage like Texas Instruments and companies like that here in the United States to produce and run more foundries here in the United States, or even have, encourage a company to open a foundry here in the United States, it would make sense. And the reason why that would make sense is almost all of the large foundries in the world are now in Japan, China, and South Korea, and we have a near peer adversary in the area. You have China. I don't think China's out to take over the world. It's not my opinion on it. I'm just saying, from a defense standpoint, it makes sense to encourage production here in the United States and have production. So that way, if there was a major conflict or war that, separated us from that part of the world where we could not get commerce across, it would very directly impact the economy, and we could see economic collapse if we couldn't produce, our products, because consumerism, is what runs our country, because we're a very capitalistic country, which then in turn, if you can't get your components to produce your products and sell them, it just all falls apart. Because although we like to go, oh, nothing's produced here in the United States, well, no, we just don't make the chips here. Sometimes there actually are a lot of boards that are assembled here in the United States. So to say that manufacturing is not here anymore is a fallacy. We still have manufacturing. We just don't have very many foundries, producing these chips. So if you're not familiar with how microcontrollers are made, the facilities that make it, it's called a foundry. So when I say a foundry, I'm not talking a steel mill. I'm talking producing silicon wafers, chips, and all that. So. And we do have foundries here in the United States. I'm not saying that we don't have them. I'm just saying we don't have as many. They're not as large. And some of them are more of like a boutique kind of thing where, manufacturer X has this new chip that they want to make, so they're going to get it made real quick just to test it, and that's it. And then they, take their IP to South Korea and get them produced over there. And then the final thing, we'll move into the final part of like what we can do to resolve this, is just stop panic buying. A lot of manufacturers right now are just absolutely panic buying chips. They're going, oh my God, these lead times are 36 months, so we have to buy, let's buy 42 months worth of it, so that way we have a buffer and all of this, and so that they're trying to protect themselves and buying extra chips and having just tons of this stuff in stock, because they can see the lead times. They know what the lead times are on this stuff, so they know okay, well, I know I'm going to produce this many of them. Well, what if the demand's higher? Okay, I just have to buy more. So there's a lot of panic buying in the sector, and if you listen to any engineering thing, they go, yeah, my firm is just buying just tons of these things right now. So it's like the toilet paper thing. It's just feeding onto itself. We go, oh, hey, we have a shortage of this. Oh, now we don't have any of it because everybody bought all of it. So if just people would quit panic buying, it would resolve this. And it's not like we're having to convince a million Americans to quit panic buying. You're like trying to convince 100 companies to. So just get Congress step in and be like, yo, stop it. Stop panic buying. And that could help alleviate a lot of this too. So that's really all I want to talk about on the chip shortage. I don't think I'll do another video on this. I do believe we're looking at probably 2 years until things are backtracked. Because if you really look at what these lead times are, it's a year lead time, but you're also there's nothing in stock for the year until they have them again. So then once they have them again, they're going to be gone. So I don't think that we'll be out of this in 2022. I think we'll be 2023, 2024 before this chip shortage is gone. So that's 2 years. So I probably will talk about it again, but I don't plan to. I don't have the idea in my head to talk about this again. Hopefully I didn't bore you guys, because I know a lot of guys in here just repair circuit boards and they could care less. If the circuit board already has a microcontroller on it, what do I care? Which is fair enough. That is definitely a fair enough point there. So yeah, I don't know. Let's quit panic buying. Let's work on some right to repair laws, and I really do think that defense spending would be a wise thing, because it would be almost like investing in infrastructure here in the United States. It would pay for itself. And the way you could justify it, in my mind, what I can think of as a way of justifying that as a defense spending thing is be like, hey, so we're going to help fund building this, we're going to give you a grant to build this foundry here in the United States. But if war breaks out, we get number one pick of, manufacturing here in this foundry. World War II, Ford's manufacturing airplanes and such. So, they would have those rights, but the chips are hard to make. They're not an easy to make commodity, and there's a lot of machinery involved in it. So if we don't have the foundries already, it would take years to spin them up, because you have to make the machines that make the chips, and it would just take a long time. So we really would. It would make sense from a defense standpoint to get ahead of that. I hope I'm getting my point across. I'm not the best at articulating myself. So yeah, and just right to repair, defense spending, and panic buying could really help in this a lot faster than what we're looking at. We're looking at 2 or 3 years until this is resolved. So I don't know. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you like the audio quality. I know I'm getting more echo off of the walls now because I got a new microphone. So here is my new microphone. I am not wearing it as a lav mic because I don't like that bulky thing as a lav mic. I do plan on getting a headset or an actual little lav for it, a better microphone itself for this unit. But it does work, and I do like it. So yeah, I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys liked the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.